BJ Bennett and Matt Osborne here with you, our SouthernPigskin.com Minute Team Previews. Matt, next up the Arkansas Razorbacks, and what's really interesting here is you think about Alabama, you think about LSU and the national championship game, and then Arkansas is kind of out there. And I think the momentum earlier in the offseason, a lot of folks started to think, man, this squad can challenge. Then the Bobby Petrino saga hits. With that in the past, let's talk about the personnel here. You got to start on offense. You have some receivers to replace, but what a quarterback they have in Tyler Wilson.
Yeah, arguably the top quarterback in the nation, and certainly a guy who has proven that what he can do against SEC defenses. And the big question for Arkansas in the passing game, because that has been their bread and butter for the last few years under Coach Petrino, is going to be how they replace the players that they're losing at wide receiver. Kobe Hamilton coming back, a big playmaker out wide with some good size, should provide a nice steadying presence in the wide receiver core, but you lose Jarius Wright, Joe Adams, Greg Childs. How are you going to replace that production? Not to mention they missed out on the nation's #1 recruited wide receiver, Dorial Green-Beckham, who went to play at Missouri. So a lot of young guys like Marquell Wade going to have to plug in and hopefully be able to produce out wide. But I think, looking right here, the one big thing that's going to help them this year, getting Niall Davis back in that backfield as a steadying presence.
Well, I was going to say, how do you replace the production? You do it with a superstar running back. I love Niall Davis, and I know we have some great tailbacks in the SEC. Marcus Lattimore is a star, but Niall Davis's dynamic versatility. You look at what he did at the end of the 2010 season when he really settled in, tore up Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl, played great down the stretch. His dual threat ability to run between the tackles, get outside with the speed. I mean, I think it's Darren McFadden-esque. I love watching him play. He averages 6-7 yards a carry, and I think back healthy. We'll see if he's the Niall Davis of old, but I think all reports suggest that a balanced offense is an understatement. I mean, you could have one of the most difficult offenses to prepare for in the country, which brings us to the defense. What, 21, 22 points per game allowed last year? What do you think is a good benchmark as they look with Tanarius Wright and Alonzo Highsmith, some veterans at linebacker, Eric Bennett in the secondary to improve a little bit? Is it fair to say, or is it maybe hyperbole to say, if they can get it down to 16, 17 points a game, they could win the SEC?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a team you expect them to put up points on the offensive side of the ball. Lose their star on the defensive side of the ball, defensive end Jake Beckett. But as you mentioned, return some veteran guys all along the defense, arguably the best defense they've had there maybe in the past decade. So if you can get it down 17, 18 points a game, I think your offense is going to score enough points to keep you in the game. Of course, the big games for them are going to be at home against LSU, against Alabama. Obviously, that works in their favor with the schedule. How do you see those games playing out against those guys?
Well, I think that's going to be the tell of the tape for Arkansas. If you can win those games, play well at home, you literally emerge as a national championship contender. And I think the talent is there. We'll see how John L. Smith does managing the emotions that have been at play this offseason and trying to keep this team's confidence high. But for as much as we love Alabama and LSU, Arkansas is right there in the SEC.